Hi, I'm Melody Hilton, and I want to welcome you to the Stopped Evaluations My Story interview with my very special guest, Lynn Taylor. Lynn is the president of Taylor Protocols and is a leadership and business development expert. So welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Melody. It's good to be here.
Oh, Lynn, I am so honored. I love you. I value you. I celebrate you. You've made such a huge impact in my life, but also you have influenced and empowered leaders globally. And so when we meet someone as successful as you are, it's so easy to assume that they never had battles or hurts or they never experienced a lot of devaluation. Basically, you had to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth, right? But the fact is, rarely is that anyone's experience. So, Lynn, I would love to hear your story and to hear if there were any situations in your life that caused you to feel like you were devalued or even unloved.
Oh boy, that's a heavy question. I was born to one of the first women ministers in the United States. My mother, Helen Taylor, was a pastor of churches and very small churches, and my father was a janitor, a window cleaner. And I was raised in a little 12 by 16-foot house with like two brothers and my mother and father. And my dad was working 17 hours a day, 6 days a week. And my mother was doing the same thing for the church. So in the beginning, the nurturing, the presence was passed off. We boys were taken care of by members of the church usually, and and one of the first things that happened to us, even within this, we knew we were being taken care of. But my younger brother got polio when he was about a year and a half old, and I was 3.5 years old. And so I and my older brother Roger were sent away. We didn't understand being sent away. We were sent away to the basement of a parishioner's house.
Wow.
And we were there for a year and a half. And almost no contact with our parents since polio was such an infectious disease. So I had nightmares and all kinds of grief going on with that, and didn't understand it at 3 years old.
Yeah.
And then when I was 6 years old, my mother had an emotional breakdown, and once again I was sent away. And when I came back, I was still not allowed to see my mother hardly ever. She was in her bedroom in the house with the door closed almost all the time, day and night. So that was a very, very difficult situation, and started me on a path of trying to earn the love of anybody and everybody, so I would be taken care of. And by the time I was 17 years old, as I tell people, I felt like the monkey of an organ grinder on the street. I would do my tap dancing and turn my flips and somersaults and chatter and hold out my hat at the end, and they would drop nickels and pennies into my hat. And the nickels and pennies were very often praise from people in the church and people in the community. I was a nice kid. I was talented and playing the organ and piano for the church when I was 11, 12 years old. So I got lots of praise, lots of attention. And every time somebody complimented me on what I had done, the feeling inside of me just came up was I worked really hard to do that. And this is all I get for it. It just, for me, I could not translate it into any kind of real human love and appreciation. So I was a pretty sick person through my teenage years and into my early 20s. I've had to go on a road of recovery, long and arduous road of going out to Cleveland, Ohio at 20 years of age to really go into the wilderness and didn't communicate back with my family for a long time. just had to go and find my way to wholeness and health.
Wow. So it was very difficult for you to see your own value, your own worth, and no matter what you did, it never satisfied.
It never satisfied, and I also was really groomed by my parents, especially my mother, but my father also, to be the next leader in the church. They talked about me being the next Billy Graham and that sort of thing. So I was being groomed to be a very Christ-like a person, and there's no problem with that in the adult mind, but in a child's mind, the expectations were higher than I could ever come up to, and I knew that. So I was also bathed in shame and a sense of guilt, and I never felt like I was worth any love from anyone.
Wow. Well, as you began to get older and go through the process of healing, as it were there any individuals that valued you just for being you, that saw your worth, that saw your importance, and spoke into you?
I had when I was younger, became the vice president of the International Youth Fellowship of the Church of God, and there's a gentleman that was the leader of that organization. He was the pastor assigned to take care of the youth fellowship. So I worked with him, and Arden was just a wonderful person and very supportive of me, and we had deep, respectful talks and discussions. I learned how to be a member of a team and working with people to contribute and also to learn from. So he was great. And then when I was 17, I also met for the first time my uncle Ellsworth, after whom I was named. I'm Lynn Taylor. And Ellsworth was my father's next oldest son. And he was a captain in the U.S. Navy. In fact, he was at Pearl Harbor under the bombing attack from the Japanese. But he had become a real leader, coaching and mentoring officers in the Navy, and teaching them Evelyn Wood speed reading courses so they could, absorb things faster. Very, very dynamic guy. This is a guy who read 4 or 5 books a day, speed reading.
Wow.
And he would remember any paragraph anywhere, and even the page number. He could recite the book inside and out years later. Just amazing photographic memory.
Wow.
So when he came over to my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary, he followed us back to our house, and for 2 weeks, Ellsworth and I were up every night until 2 or 3 in the morning talking. And he was a poet. He was a published poet in Hawaii, and I was writing poetry at the time. So he really nurtured that in me. He nurtured my willingness to have a free mind and to find my own faith, my own belief, and accept that as my responsibility and not just adopt somebody else's belief set. So it was a powerful experience for me, and we wrote letters back and forth for the next 5 years until he died at a very young age of a heart attack. So he was a major mentor for me.
Wow. Could you see yourself in him?
I do. He and I were a lot alike in some ways, and he's much smarter than I. He truly was a genius level intellect, and had that pattern mapping kind of thing in his brain that works so well, way above any other human mostly, and I didn't have that, but I had the same charge to cause my life to be useful and beneficial, and that was the part of me that he really honored and respected and encouraged, and our letters back and forth were major adventures about 2 men trying to become men.
Wow. That is really beautiful. I just wonder if he realizes the huge impact that he made in your life, because if he passed young, he hasn't really seen what you've accomplished or all that you've done globally. And so I bet you he would just be celebrating you and so proud of you and recognizing that the seeds he planted inside of you have produced so much fruit. Lynn, I'd love to hear how you have taken the situations of your life and now have taken that as almost like a clarion call in your own life to generate value in others. How have you done that?
Well, it's been a cycle of carrying through with my sense that I had to take my life in my own hands and learn to be everything that I was created to be, and nothing could stop me. So my early days were that way. I had some poems published, and I had four books now published, and that's been a part of that, having my mind appreciated and enjoyed by other people, and my artistry. And then I had all kinds of experience in business. I ended up back in Cleveland, Ohio, and with Harshal Nuclear Electronics. I worked with the engineers there. I was supposed to just learn how to market their products, but I saw some things that in their technology where there were some market opportunities, and so I developed my first requirements document for a new product. It was called the Regional Cerebral Blood Flow Analysis System, and we took dosimeters from the oil and gas industry that were dropped down wells to look at pooling of the oil below the surface. Wow. And we put those on the head of a cranial injury victim, and recorded that. And then we developed terraforming maps, so you can see the layers of the brain. And the alpha beta rays were counted from xenon gas, which is inert and non-disruptive to the human body. And we got better pictures of the human brain and the blood pooling than the great big General Electric nuclear imaging cameras.
Oh my gosh, you just spoke way over my head. But what's so amazing is you have taken your skills and your abilities and your knowledge to the betterment of humanity. That's really powerful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I had a period. My first 15 years were to continue that creation of new technology, new products for new applications, almost all in the medical diagnostic imaging world. I created 20 best of kind products in that industry, and then I created the world's first IBM speech recognition system in 1983. That was a $400 instrument that worked at 97% repeat accuracy of the words, interpretation of the words, and replace the $40,000 speech recognition systems. Wow. That took hours to set up and had a 70% recognition factor with 3.5 seconds to recognize anything, and mine recognized it in a quarter of a second. So it was. I'm not an engineer. I had an engineer very bright that took this on, but we developed a major new product there, and got in PC Magazine and other places interviewing it. So I've taken all that. I don't mean to brag at all, but it was a work of joy and love that I did this, and all of that background has been brought into my work now, into the creation of the Core Values Index, creation of right person, right seat technology that has a fully automated aspect of recruiting and hiring and prioritizing incoming candidates for a specific job that we've done our scientific analysis of, and have perfected a system that 95% of the time will put only future top performers performers in any seat in any company, and that was the big question that I heard in society that had to be solved. And I heard that when I was failing to put right people in right seats in my turnaround management business. So that all brought it together, closed the circle, and now my whole life looks like it was just planned, but it it was just me following the current.
And truly, Lynn, you have been one who has taken all those skills and all those abilities and impacted the lives of so many. I know for me, you have generated so much value in my life and have expanded my vision, expanded my purpose, and have allowed me to be a voice in a way that I never dreamed that I could be, to see value in who someone innately is. Lynn, thank you so much for sharing your story. You are a blessing to so many, and I appreciate you with all of my heart. Thank you so much for being a part of my story.
Oh, thank you, Melody. You are a gift to humanity and to me. I really appreciate you deeply.
Thank you. I want to thank you for listening and encourage you to become a part of the Stop Devaluation movement. Be sure to like and follow #StopDevaluation on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and visit StopDevaluation.com for more information and free resources. You can help spread the movement by sharing with others, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, and most of all, by living a courageous lifestyle of using your power for good. Go out and value someone today. Your life matters, and you can make the world a better place. One word, one choice, one action of validation at a time.